Hello, this video is going to go over the new attributes system that was added to the Spine Unity runtime pretty recently. I'm going to use some example data from one of my personal projects to demonstrate this by making a very basic character controller that makes use of the attribute systems to make life a little bit easier. I'm going to spawn the soldier into the scene and I'm going to add a script to him called Atlas Region Attacher, just to kind of show what attributes can do. So the first thing I'm going to do is drag the atlas I want to attach things from into the atlas slot and increase the attachments array and choose a slot. In this case I'm going to choose weapon, and I want a region from the atlas as sword 1. Add another one. I think we've got a shield slot as well. And we can put a shield in there. There we go. So notice that the slot drop down and the region drop down were both aware of the content of the thing I wanted to put into that field. So now when I hit the play button, we've got a character that actually has information from 2 different atlases that's already been appended to it. So there's some pretty straightforward logic going on inside of there, but the part this video is going to cover is how easy it is to create these intelligent and spine-aware drop-downs. So now that that's working, created a script ahead of time called foot soldier, which is blank. I'm going to drag that onto the object and open that up in Visual Studio. So with any good character controller, you usually have a few different animations. In this case, let's say idle animation, move animation, and attack animation. So notice these are just strings. Save that and go back into Unity. So when we see them in the field here, they are just good old string fields. If I wanted these to be aware of the spine system, all I have to do is go in and add a spine animation attribute to each of these, save and go back. And these string fields should be transformed into drop-downs that are aware of the skeleton animation component that is added to the same object as the foot soldier, this instance of that foot soldier script. So now instead of having to recognize all of, or remember and have a list of animations somewhere, or skins or slots or whatever, now we have a way to quickly get relevant information into the inspector. Going a step further than this, just to show some extendability, these attributes have a lot of configurable properties, but in the case of spine animation, one of the most useful ones for me is the starts with parameter. So I can simply add an idle to the beginning of this and jump back into Unity. And now the idle animation only shows animations that start with the word idle. There's some documentation that explains what the rest of those do. I'm going to keep moving on. Now we also need a Movespeed. And why not? Because we're using attributes in this video. This is a built-in Unity range attribute that gives you a slider. So let's say 0.5 to 5 or something like that. And it'll allow us to tune the speed of the character very quickly. We'll also need an attachment, a reference to the skeleton animation that we can get on start. So on start, I'm going to set skeleton animation to that reference. And now we can go ahead with a little bit of the character controller. So most Unity character stuff is done on updates, and we might as well do it there. So just kind of bricking this out, we have get key code, we got key. Yeah, let's just do get key. Space. This is going to be attack. And if we're not attacking, then we're probably moving or we're going back to idle. So if input.getKey dot right arrow, move right, input.get keycode left arrow left. Otherwise, just go back to idle. Okay, so what do we need to do to make the character move or play the move animation? We have skeleton animation name is a really useful property that's built into the skeleton animation class that allows you to directly set the name of the animation and also checks to see whether or not it's already playing or not. And if it is, then it just ignores it. So now all we have to do is set the animation name to move animation, which again is just a regular stored string but has the intelligent attribute added to it to make life a little bit easier in the inspector. And because this character is default to the right, we also want to set the skeleton flipx to false to make sure it's always going to be facing right. And now, of course, local reference to the transform dot translate move speed times time delta time. We don't need any other axes. And that should pretty much handle it for moving right. Copy that down to the left side. You still want to use the same move animation, but in this case we want to set flipx to true, and then use negative move speed to move our character in that direction. And the last thing we need to do here is also set our idle animation, which is set yet again by the convenient string parameter up there. So now we've got a character that should move to the right, move to the left, and go back to idle. We need to add attack too, I forgot one. Animation name equals attack animation. Alright, cool. Looks like pretty much done. So now I'm going to drag the move speed up to, I don't know, somewhere around 3-ish. Choose my idle animation, move animation, and attack animation, and hit the play button. And Atlas Region Attacher should attach our weapons for us. And now we, oops, forgot one thing. We do have to make sure that we check the loop button here because we didn't set that in the script. There we go. So now we've got our idle animation going. And I can hold the right arrow to walk right, left arrow to walk left, and hold the space bar to do the attack animation. So this is a very, very quick and simple character type controller. If you want to do this with physics, this is a good way to get started. I want to go over one more, slightly more complicated thing. Inside of this character, we can look into the inspector for the skeleton data, take a look at this, choose show attachments. He has an attachment that makes him blink. And this is one of those things that you don't really want to animate in Spine necessarily, or if you do, that works too. But generally for a simple blink animation, you just want to toggle blink on for a split second and then toggle it back off again. And do that at fairly random intervals so it actually looks like a random blink. So to do that, I'm going to add a couple more useful string values up here with more attributes to make things really easy. But this is going to cover some slightly more advanced things. So I'm going to create a new string called eyes slot. And I'm going to call this a spine slot attribute. So now this will generate a pop-up that allows me to choose a slot from the currently attached skeleton animation or skeleton render, as the case may be. I'm also going to create a string called eyes open attachment and eyes closed attachment. So the way this is now, I guess we can do this too. Spine attachment, go figure. Ambiguous. What do we require? We require current skin only. Requires at least one parameter. I'll be sure to fix that later. Okay, so the eyes slot drop-down now gives us a list of all of these slots in the current skeleton. It'll tell us at the top what data we're drawing from. If it says foot soldier underscore skeleton data, that means we're looking at the actual skeleton data. There are cases where you are looking at the instance of a skeleton, and it will tell you when that is occurring up here. So I'm going to choose the eyes slot here, and under eyes open attachment, I've got a large list of things here, and this is actually not good because I only want to affect things that are part of the eyes slot. I don't want to attach a foot to a face. It just wouldn't work. So to make that kind of error checking a little bit easier, you can use name parameters or go all the way through the constructor of spine attachment, and you can do things like current skin only, true, and slot field becomes eyes slot. And what this means is that dropdown will only be populated by attachments that are part of the currently displayed skin, and also only attachments that are underneath the eyes slot, or are attachments of the eyes slot. So now when we go back in, I choose this drop down, and it lets me choose null and or eyes. So this is the eyes open and the eyes closed or blank. And now we can get back to coding and not have to worry about making fully qualified choices about what our string path to our attachment or our slot was in our spine project that we may not have actually animated ourselves. So anyway, I'm going to create a simple blink coroutine called blink, and just have it repeat forever. So first thing I'm going to do is wait for a little bit. Oops. Somewhere around there. Now we can take skeleton animation, skeleton dot set attachment for the name of the slot, so that's the eye slot. And then we set it to the attachment name, which is the blink attachment. Except I set it as eyes closed attachment. Yeah, there we go. And then yield return new. Wait 4 seconds. What's a good blink duration? It's about a frame, I guess. So something like that. Set that to a variable some other time. And then set the eyes back to the eyes open attachment. And just let that repeat forever. So then on start, you can do a start coroutine blink. And let it do its thing. So now we should have a character that can move left and right, attack, equip some weapons from the atlas, and you should blink. And here we go. So now we've got independent coroutines driving the eyes, an update loop that deals with attack animations as well as left and right, and we're making use of attributes to make all of this really, really easy to set up in the inspector. That pretty much sums up all of this. Please read the documentation inside of the spine attribute source file. I did spend time commenting these, so by all means read them. Have fun.